A human life usually begins with birth, takes shape through certain memories, and gradually fades away with time. Most lives resemble an ordinary journey between the pages of a calendar. One is born, grows up, lives, and ends without leaving behind more than a handful of memories. Yet there are some lives that are not merely lived. They do not simply pass through time, they become time itself. In such lives, years cease to be mere numbers, and eras pile up one upon another within a single lifetime. This story is about one of those extraordinarily rare lives in human history. A woman who stood quietly in the face of time, never rushed, never tried to break records, yet ultimately came to possess the most unreachable record in human history. Entering the Guinness World Records usually requires measurable achievements, repeatable attempts, and performances timed down to seconds. The fastest runners, the highest jumpers, the heaviest lifters. These records are often born and finished within a brief moment. Jean-Louise Calment's entry into Guinness, however, was not measured in seconds but stretched across decades. It progressed not with speed but with patience. It was unrepeatable and irreversible. Her record was not a performance, it was life itself. Jean-Louise Calment was born on February 21, 1875, in Arles, one of the historic cities of the Provence region in southern France. At the time, no one could have known that she would live a life unlike any other in human history. When she was born, France was still in the early years of the Third Republic. The Eiffel Tower did not yet exist. Automobiles were still a dream, and electricity was a limited novelty confined to certain cities. The world was only beginning to feel the effects of the Industrial Revolution. Jean Calment's infancy belonged to an era of horse-drawn carriages in the streets and gas lamps, lighting the nights. Her extraordinary longevity was not based on legend, but on an exceptionally meticulous process of documentation. Claims of being the longest living human had surfaced many times throughout history, only to collapse under the weight of incorrect records, missing documents, or exaggerated stories. When examining Jean Calment's case, Guinness World Records applied an extraordinary level of scrutiny. Her birth certificate, baptism records, census documents, marriage papers, official records of her addresses, and witness testimonies were all examined one by one. Historians compared her memories with historical events, and the details she provided aligned with historical facts in a striking way. When Jean Calment played in the streets of Arles as a child, she lived in a world where photography was not yet widespread. In her youth, bicycles were just beginning to gain popularity, and trains were starting to connect Europe. Over the course of her life, she witnessed technology, politics, and society transform repeatedly and profoundly. She lived through 2 world wars, the collapse of empires, the redrawing of maps, the replacement of monarchies with republics, and the increasing visibility of women in public life, all within a single lifetime. She was 94 years old when humanity set foot on the moon, and she had already passed the age of 100 when she first saw television. In her youth, she encountered Vincent van Gogh, who would later be remembered as one of the greatest figures in art history. During his time in Arles, Van Gogh visited the Calment family's shop, and Jean Calment recalled him as ill-tempered, poorly groomed yet striking. At the time, no one knew that this young painter would one day become a global legend. This memory stands as a powerful testament to how vast a span of time Jean Calment's life encompassed. Jean Calment married, had a daughter, and lived a quiet family life. Yet life's cruel irony granted her a long lifespan while taking her loved ones from her early. She outlived her daughter and her grandson, continuing to live after losing her entire immediate family. This was perhaps one of the heaviest burdens of her life. Yet she managed to hold on to life even in the face of such pain. She lived in her own home for many years and later moved to a care facility. As she aged, she never engaged in heavy physical labor and came from a well-off family. Her lifestyle, however, was remarkably simple, moderate, and consistent. In interviews, she was often asked about the secret to her long life. Jean Calment never offered miraculous formulas or strict rules. She said she loved chocolate, used olive oil generously, drank wine occasionally, and most importantly, did not take life too seriously. She rode a bicycle until the age of 90, and was still able to walk on her own even after turning 100. She smoked, But even that she did in moderation. She avoided excess in all things. Mentally, she remained exceptionally sharp. Her memory was strong, and she enjoyed making jokes. She gave sarcastic answers to questions about her age and often teased time itself. Even at the age of 120, she displayed a surprising calmness and acceptance toward life. She did not see death as an enemy, but as an inevitable reality. For her, long life was not a goal to be fought for, but a natural journey. Jeanne Calment passed away on August 4, 1997, in Arles, France, at the age of 122. The cause of death was natural, related to old age. There was no illness or sudden event involved. With her death, the longest documented human life in history came to an end. Yet this ending was less a closure than a legacy. Today, Jeanne Calment's name is not merely a number listed in the Guinness World Records. She is living proof that the human lifespan may be more flexible than we assume, and that time gains meaning not only by passing, but by being lived. Scientists continue to study her genetic makeup, lifestyle, and psychology. Because Jeanne Calment's life is a unique human story where biology and fate, habits and chance, patience and time intersect. Her life reminds us of this. Some people do not live to break records. They simply live. But there are lives that become records simply because they were lived. Jeanne Calment's story is a quiet yet powerful reminder that forces us to rethink humanity's relationship with time.